Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. Can I ask you if you can see what you can see when I share my screen?
Nothing.
Give me a second. Do you see which
Now,
screen do you see?
I see the one that you see. Unfortunately,
Okay.
it's
Let me try to do this the other way around then.
yeah.
Um, Still, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna. Let me see.
Were you trying to have two screens up?
Yep. How about now?
Yeah. Nope. Still, you got to unplug it.
Wait. How about now?
Hey, is that Yakov?
Yeah, it's Yakov. How about now?
Yeah. Now you're good. Now start it. Start the slideshow so I can see.
Okay. Can you see?
No, I still see the thumbnails.
Okay. No good then. That's fine.
Yeah, I messed with it too. It's really not. Yeah. Now it's fine. Yeah.
Now you can see.
Did, did you
Yeah.
just unplug your second screen?
No, it's just working now.
Oh, Sababa.
Yeah. Hey, Greg. Hey, Juan. We're gonna wait a few more minutes to get started, just to make sure everyone logs on who can. All right, let's get started. I'm happy you guys could join me for the webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about funding opportunities for big data, non-dilutive funding opportunities. So, as you can see, federal grants are a huge part of the U.S. federal budget. It's $161.5 billion dollar they spend on it a year. And for research and development in the private industry, as you can see, it's 30 to 60 billion dollars a year. They do this for a few different reasons. They want to be uh, number one. So they want to have the most cutting edge, the most new, the most impactful technology. And the way they do this is by funding it, because not everything they do can be done directly through the government itself, but they like to support the private industry as well. So, what is non dilutive funding? Non dilutive funding is kind of like what it sounds. It's funding that does not dilute your power within your company. So, for example, of dilutive funding is venture capital, angel investors, where they take a piece of your company or of your voting rights, of your share, or of IP rights, and they benefit from it. Whereas non-dilutive funding, which is federal grants, they take no equity, they don't interfere, no IP rights taken away. And the reason they do this is because they want you to develop the technology that is what you want to develop. They don't necessarily want to meddle with it. They just want something that's on the cutting edge. And that's basically one of the best mechanisms because it funds riskier projects than you would otherwise see. So things that might scare off private investors, the government's willing to take on that risk because they believe in high risk, high reward projects as well. So there's a lot of industries that they're currently funding, but these are four of the main categories we see. I'm gonna pause a little bit, let you guys read, but it's defense, it's cyber, it's energy materials, and then what doesn't fall under those topics are other topics. So pretty much anything that's innovative and cutting edge, they're interested in, especially if there's a use case for it. So it really allows, it's kind of a very widespread. Most R&D tech companies really do fall under this kind of description. So 60,000 grant-backed companies, 23andMe, you probably know Qualcomm, we're probably using their chips right now. And then there are 3 different technologies that you could probably find in your hand today that was funded by federal funding, the internet, GPS, and Siri. So there's been quite some of the largest and most breakthrough innovations in our time have been at least have received federal funding. So there's 2 different types of federal investments. So we're going to start with the greedy type. So they're seeking solutions to agency challenges. So a great example of this would be the Air Force, right? They're looking for a helmet that can display, have a AR, VR kind of display. And so they're looking for themselves in order to further themselves. So how the process goes is they realize, hey, we need this helmet with augmented reality capabilities. So then what they're going to do is they're going to post an opportunity and kind of post a solicitation. And then what will happen is companies will come up with different solutions, different kinds of helmets, different kinds of cool niche things. And what they'll decide is who they're going to learn what's out there and who's out there. Then based off of that, they're going to make an investment. And from that investment, you move on to basically what we'd call phase 2, where they see how you perform with the money given, and then hopefully move on to phase 3, where it's commercialization. You become a client of the Air Force. So you're able to sell to the Air Force in this example. And the reason why this is so great is because the U.S. government is one of the largest. I mean, it's first of all, it's huge. Second of all, it's a good client to have. And we'll see a little bit later on in the slideshow, it's kind of a seal of approval across the board. And so now the second type of federal investments we see are altruistic, we'll call them. So it's seed money for private industry. So it's basically, hey, you have the next breakthrough. It's not necessarily going to help us. It's not necessarily going to be the Air Force VR, AR helmet or anything like that, but it's going to be something that helps society as a whole. And you'll see the altruistic motives are improved quality of life, advancement of technology and job creation. And then a little bit more interesting is the capitalistic motives. So basically, it's all nice and dandy to say, oh, hey, they want to advance technology and they just want to help US citizens. But what happens is when they create this technology, it boosts industry, and that leads to a strong economy. And for every, I love this, for every dollar that they invest in a federal grant, they make a rate of return of $2.30. So it's really a win-win for them. They're really gaining from giving these grants out because, again, like I was saying, it's helping riskier companies get a foothold and develop something that otherwise no one would really want to step forward and do. But it allows them to really innovate and generate new ideas. And here's what I was talking about before. Federal grants are viewed by investors as a hallmark of quality. So every dollar that has gone in as a federal grant has come out, basically investors end up along 8 years down the road, investing $8.38 for every federal funding dollar invested. So it kind of shows if you're able to show a chief scientist in Washington that, hey, my technology is good and here's why, people are more willing to take a look at it because passing the threshold for a federal grant, it's an accomplishment, it's an achievement, and it's no laughing matter. So people really do look at it as, hey, this company is a serious company and we want to work with them. Okay, so there are 3 different mechanisms that we can talk about today. The first one is called SBIR. That's Small Business Innovation Research. And what it is it's a grant given to companies that have their R&D based in the United States, where 51% of ownership is owned by a US resident, and it's about 3.2% of the budget, so that's around $3.5 billion a year. And the Air Force, the Army, all kinds of the DoD offer these grants. The first one. The next one is a small business technology transfer. And then the last one, which takes up 96.4% of the overall pie, as you see, is a broad agency announcement. And let's delve a little bit in. So for an SBIR, there's 3 phases. Phase 1 is proof of concept. So that's just proving you have something interesting. They're willing to award up to $150,000 for that. There's phase 2, which is up to $1 million, which is a prototype. Basically show us what you got. And phase 3 is, again, commercialization. So like I was saying before, where the government becomes either A, becomes your first customer, or B, assists you in bringing your product to market. And as I was saying before, $3.5 billion awarded annually, and it's usually phased. Now, broad agency announcements. They have very interesting mechanisms. So it's 2 to 5 years of funding, and the award ceilings could range anywhere from $100K to $65 million. And it's broad. So the topics of interest are very, very broad and varied, and each agency has its own either A, open topics, or B, specific challenges they want met. Broad agency announcements are available as well. You do not have to be in the United States to necessarily get them. In addition, nonprofits and universities can also apply for them. So here's a few of the other companies. As I mentioned, the Air Force AFWorks has been doing some really interesting innovations when it comes to funding. But there's the DoD Rapid Innovation, DHS Silicon Valley. And we're going to take a little bit of a dive now into the DoD's SBIR program. And then again, we're going to go into other military programs like the Army Application Labs. And then we're going to talk a bit about AFWorks. So the DoD's SBIR program, its goal is to elicit innovative solutions from small businesses. So they're trying to close the gaps confronting the DoD and include technologies that can potentially commercialize and boost the private sector. And so the DoD is huge. So there's 12 offices participating. And again, with each of the offices, there's different requirements and award amounts for each grant. So it can range anywhere for phase 1, again, proof of concept, as we were discussing, 50K to 250K. And phase 2 could range from anywhere from $1 million to $5 million. And again, probably some names you would know on there: Air Force, Army, Navy, US SOCOM. They are all part of it. The pre-release for the DoD SBIR has already happened, and it's going to open up on September 23rd. So there's some real buzz going on right now in the funding world about that. So here are some of the focus areas in the DoD SBIR. Again, 5G, AI and machine learning, autonomy, space, cybersecurity, directed energy, hypersonics, which is pretty cool, weapons, microelectronics, quantum science. All right, AFWorks is the Air Force's catalyst, basically, for innovation. Their goal is to kind of compete with private equity and venture capitalists to have fast funding and more streamlined application process. So they have pitch days, hackathons, challenges, and an open topic SBIR program, which is what we're going to delve into right now. So the open topic it has 2 different tracks, but they're known for their fast funding, as I was saying before. So their goal is to kind of compete and to foster innovation. And so far, they've been doing an amazing job, so much so that other branches have been looking into becoming more like AFWorks, which is kind of fascinating. So phase 1 is proof of concept. You could get awarded up to $50,000. And then for phase 2, you have to get a memorandum of understanding from an Air Force stakeholder. Basically, what a memorandum of understanding is, hey, we like your technology. We're willing to work with you in the future. And that is what allows you to move to phase 2. the important thing about that is that it allows for commercialization that much more easily because you have someone signed with you already for phase two. And phase two can be $750,000, but also it's possible that the Air Force stakeholder will also cost share or help fund. Again, there's another track. It's called direct to phase two. And that's if you already have an MOU, you could skip phase one of proof of concept and you could go directly to phase two. Again, AFWERX is a really good broad opportunity and we've seen quite a bit of success there. I'm going to turn over the conversation to Matthew Cloud, who's going to talk a little bit more about big data opportunities for us.
Hi, guys. My name is Matt. Thanks, Asher. So my name is Matt Cloud. I'm a director of business development over at Eagle Point Funding. I'd love to speak with you very briefly about some solicitations that are directly applicable to big data companies. So we have this round, as Asher said, we're really excited about the United States Air Force AFWERX program and the DoD SBIR 20.3 that we're ramping up for that opened September 21st or September 23rd. But also we have the NSF, the National Science Foundation's America's Seed Fund. Now, this is a amazing program that is not necessarily based on a B2G endgame. However, they are interested in funding deep technology that is really going to change the way in which we do things in the world. They're interested in disruptive tech. So they have two broader topics that are directly applicable to big data and data analytics companies. First, we have the DL3 solicitation, which calls for really, like I said, disruptive innovation. And when their aim is to enable high-powered impact and competitive advantage in its field of use. So like I said, it's a really broad topic. So, if you have a great use case, you're developing something really, really innovative, that would fall under this DL3 category. We also have the IT1 solicitation, which is for directly targeted at big data and advanced analytics companies. These proposals will really, what they want is they're looking for groundbreaking innovation in the generation, analysis, collection, transmission, use of all different types of information. I know that Asher spoke very briefly about the United States AFWERX program, which is the United States Air Force Fast Funding Catalyst. And when we mean fast funding, we mean funding within 60 days. Their solicitation window opens September 23rd and it closes October 22nd. And funding within 60 days means that you would see up to $750,000 for a direct to phase 2 submission in the second or third time that the United States Air Force has announced a direct to phase 2. And we, frankly, our analysts in our professional department were really surprised that they kept doing it. So it's, they might not do it for 21.1, come the beginning of 2021. So, if you're thinking about it, now is a great time to get in. But anyway, they're also, the United States Air Force is also introducing pitch days. And this one specifically targeted at data analytics is for the Space Force, the U.S. Space Force. They're looking for data analytics technology for their Space and Missile Systems Center to really improve their portfolio of military space systems. These could be, and that sounds very broad, and frankly it is. They're really looking for technology that will, ease the convertibility of data stored in various locations, various levels, what they call space domain awareness, or SDA, intelligence and warning, battle management, command and control systems, and then even for on orbit automated processing of sensor data from satellites, really with the aim at reducing downlink requirements. So next we have also an extremely unique program, because it's structured as a broad agency announcement. So broad agency announcements are available for all companies all over the world, big, small, fat, skinny, doesn't matter. And so, you don't even have to be American to apply for the solicitation. Their Silicon Valley Innovation Program, this round is targeted towards COVID-centric use cases. So, and like I said, it's very unique also in that it's also a phased funding mechanism, which isn't typical of broad agency announcements, but for this one it is. $1,000 per phase, up to 5 phases. Each phase is a 3 to 6 month duration, R&D period. And the use case that's applicable for big data and data analytics is really that they're looking for collection and integration of authoritative, quantitative open source information. So they recognize that COVID-19 is producing data that comes from a whole variety of sources, from media outlets, state and federal, state and local municipalities. Really, what they need is a tool to aggregate this data and derive some sort of methodology or planning around it in order to really attack this thing, this pandemic head on. And lastly, I want to speak about this is a SBIR topic from the Department of Defense 20.3 solicitation. This is an SBIR coming out of the Office of the Secretary of Defense. They want a text analysis tool for natural language processing, and this one is it kind of made me chuckle when I read it, because they're pretty much saying that they get all a variety of different sources, and they get large amounts of text data. This is from personnel. This is from all, like I said, all different sources, and this text data uses a variety of different formats, languages, and it includes opinions on climate surveys, memoranda, incident reports, standard forms, et cetera, and really what they want to do is make sense of this all by using one platform, and really glean an insight into the trends and behaviors and intentions of person. Asher, can you give me control of this, or I'll just tell you. Just you could move on to the next slide. So now I'll talk about some of our winners here. So we have these are all AFWorks winners. AFWorks, like I said, we love working with AFWorks because it's a fast funding mechanism. You get funded in 60 days. And as a matter of fact, their phase 1 submissions, they fund 1,000 to 1,500 phase 1 awards per cycle, and I believe it's 300 to 500 phase 2s per cycle. So these are just a few companies in which we've won. We've got around, I think to date we're somewhere around between 6. We have an AI-powered facial recognition software that won a phase 1. I actually believe they won that phase 2 of $750,000. Company B is a drone-based data management software company. They won a D to P2, got them $750,000 within 60 days. They got their MOU signed by that Air Force stakeholder. And again, this is, the MOU, it sounds daunting at first, but with Eagle Point Funding, we really hold your hand through that process. We help you to identify the appropriate stakeholders that would be applicable to your technology, and we coach you on how to approach them. I remember there's one applicable to their tech, and then we help them launch a campaign to reach out to each one of these guys, in order to obtain their MOU. But anyway, Company C also direct to phase 2 win. Oh, okay. Nice. Promoted to panelist. Love it. Thank you. Smart Wearable Fabrics and Sensors Company, they got direct to phase 2, $750,000, 60 days. They did their R&D. They're actually, I think they're waiting on commercialization assistance of, I believe it was $3 or $4 million from AF Ventures. So what can you use these grants for? You can use them for a whole myriad of things, anything from salaries, subcontractors, instruments, materials, facilities and administration costs, outside advisors. You can there's even room for up to 5% profit from these grants. All right, go ahead. You can go next slide. What does it take to win? So you have to have revolutionary tech. We keep talking about this revolutionary tech, deep tech, pioneer tech, disruptive technology. You have to have something that changes the way in which we're doing. You have to have a strong R&D team. You have to have at least master's degrees working on your R&D. You can't be two guys with an idea in a garage with no qualifications and no history. You have to have commercially viable technology. So you have to have something that's scalable, something that's marketable, something that will generate tax revenue so that the government can make their 230%, their $2.30 for every dollar that they spend on you. All right, go ahead. Next slide. All right, so why doesn't everyone do this, right? Well, these grants are hard to find. It's really difficult to identify the solicitations that are directly, also there are low success rates per submission. In fact, for private submissions, success rates are between 8 and 15%. Now, Eagle Point Funding, our success rates per submission are roughly 3 times this. So we're somewhere, right? We're around 30% per submission. 3, you have tough deadlines. Like I said, the submission window for both AFWERX and the DoD SBIR is open September 23rd. It closes October 22nd. That's not a big window. So you have to be adequately prepared and you have to know what you're doing. 4 and 5, time consuming and never a top priority. That is going to change the way in which we do things. It's going to change the world. This is what you guys should be doing. Let us do the grant writing. You do the R&D. 5 keys to winning federal grants. This is what it takes. So first of all, like we said, you have to find multiple funding opportunities. If you're just going to apply to one solicitation, you have a very low chance of success. Engaging in a multi-submission strategy is really the key. 2, you have to know the system. You have to know what the government is looking for. You have to know what they like to see in their proposals. You have to have experience with this. 3, you have to have a clear case built for you. This is the ability to craft a narrative of your technology in a way that is both concise yet compelling enough for them to want to give you money to do this R&D. Remember, this is non-dilutive money. You know, they're taking a gamble on you. They're going out on a limb. They want to know that what you guys have to offer is something that's worth it to them. So, and finally, you have to engage in a multi-submission strategy. It's not just about identifying multiple opportunities. It is, it's executing on them. Go ahead, Asher. So who we are, Eagle Point Funding. So we're a division of the Freemind Group. Freemind Group has been around since 1999. We do federal funding, the Freemind Group does federal funding all over the world. Eagle Point Funding works exclusively in the United States. We actually have two arms of our company that work exclusively in the United States. One devoted to life sciences and biotech, and then we have us who are devoted to deep technology outside of those fields. We have over 20 years of experience. Like it says here, we have achieved billions of dollars in awards for our clients. We have a whole team of professionals, polytechnic PhDs, ex-procurement officers. We have for the Israeli army. We have company who knows what we're doing in terms of the grant writing world, and we love to achieve high yield results for our clients. So what to expect when you sign with us? Within 24 to 72 hours, really I would say 24 to 48 hours from signing the agreement, we would schedule a kickoff call with you. Within the first week, we would have a series of between 2 and 3 calls, really road mapping our multi-submission strategy for you based on multiple opportunity identification. It's our aim to really partner. We offer our expertise, and we also do a bulk of the work. However, that being said, for the first submission, we will require the most amount of time on behalf of you guys, the client. We say that we need about 60 to 80 hours from you guys for the first submission, so that we can be adequately onboarded to your technology. So we actually are very firmly aware of all the technologicals, what makes you guys special. And then we're able to craft that narrative for you. Now, after the first submission, we say that every subsequent submission, we require 10 hours or less than 10 hours for every subsequent submission after the first one. After the first 2 submissions, we're doing about 80% of the work. Really all you would be responsible for is the SOW, the statement of work, which would just basically outline the R&D that the technical R&D that you guys would be doing for the specific use case that we would be submitting. Like I said, we only want to work with companies that we can identify multiple opportunities for. We will engage in between 5 and 10 submissions on average throughout our initial 9-month engagement. And, there are some companies that and it really just depends on the technology, how much time you're willing to devote to the process, and the number of opportunities that are relevant to your tech. And that's me, Matthew Cloud, Director of Business Development. Give me a call, or Asher will send you these slides after the presentation, and you can schedule a call with me at that Calendly link in the middle of the page. I will say that right now we are extremely busy ramping up for AFWorks and DoD, and as I said, the NSF opens on September 4th as well. So there's a whole slew of opportunities out there right now that's 3 opportunities in the next 3 or 4 months that I'm sure that we would be able to find opportunities for your tech. So yeah, schedule a call with me. I'd love to chat about what you guys do and really see if I can help you get some non-dilutive funding from the federal government. And now I think we'll open up the Q&A for any questions that you guys might have. So do you have any questions for me? For us?
Yeah, it looks like there's one. Can you see
Yeah,
it, Matt?
I see.
Okay.
Yep. As most of the opportunities are associated to defense, is it a limitation that the business owners and partners are not American citizens? Is it possible to apply to these innovation grants? Also, if there's a specific technology and application with strong use cases for city or management field, are there specific challenges on big data and cities to apply to? Thanks, Juan. Yes. Well, yes, there are tons of opportunities out there, not exclusively relevant, not exclusively for DoD and military-focused opportunities. I will say that both the DoD solicitation that we're referring to and the AFWERX solicitation are exclusively available to companies with 51% ownership in the United States. And that's because they're SBIRs. Now, SBIRs, as Asher mentioned, are only about 3.5% of the federal funding landscape. You still have 96.5% of the federal dollars out there that are allocated to what are called broad agency announcements. Now, broad agency announcements are applicable to anybody, anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter what country you're in. And like that Silicon Valley Innovation Program from the Department of Homeland Security, that would be applicable to you because because it's not an SBIR, it's a broad agency announcement. To answer your question about Department of Defense related solicitations, that's just what this webinar has to offer, where we do way more than that. We work with the USDA, we work with the Department of Transportation, we work with a whole slew of different, pretty much every acronym that you can think of, we work with them. Great. Yeah, book a call. I would love to connect with you and see what we can do for you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else? Great. Well, if not, thanks so much, everyone, for showing up. And like I said, Asher will be sending you these slides a little bit later, and we'd love to connect with you and see what you're developing. See if we can help you guys get some federal dollars.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining. Have a good one.